صباح الخير جميعا. Good morning Newcastle from Riyadh and from London. Welcome Chris.
Hello وليد.
صباح الخير. طبعا كما هو معتاد عندنا كل سبت إن شاء الله راح نجيب أهم أخبار الصحف من السعودية ومن نيوكاسل وبريطانيا. We have and we'll try with Chris Arabic English as we can. شوية. طبعا اليوم عندنا خبر عاجل. There is exclusive from this. I will start with the recent news in Saudi Arabia. It's been mentioned in the newspaper in Saudi Arabia. They are talking in Riyadhia newspaper. Porto striker in January transfer window for 80 million to Newcastle. This is from translated from Mr. Baha Ad-Din. What do you think, Chris?
I don't think we're going to be spending 80 million. This is dollars or
Euro.
Okay, yeah. So that's
because they want to break the contract. You have you know, his contract need to be breaking. So
yes, because Amanda Staveley, the controlling partner right now, has said that we're not going to be buying any 100 million pound strikers. So
but maybe this is Fanisca request, because Portuguese, maybe he's Fanisca request. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, people are saying that we can talk about this later, but that the Fonseca is maybe not even a sort of a done deal, and that another coach will come along, but we can talk about that.
طبعا كريس يقول انه يعني على الاغلب انه اماندا تقول شركه الصندوق في نادي نيوكاسل انه على الاغلب انه ما راح ينفقون على كلامهم مبالغ كبيره صفقات، لكن يعني maybe this number is too much, but maybe it's gonna be more يعني more different. يعني this price is not accurate maybe.
Yes,
but I think the players linked very well to club in January transfer.
Yes, طبعا. I'm going to say that we have to be wary about everyone's going to be linked to Newcastle, because all of the agents are thinking, okay, he's worth 50 million to Arsenal, but I can make him worth 80. I can get him for 80 million. I can get 80 million off of Newcastle. So because we have so much money, apparently.
But from all all the players or the rumors الرياضية, I trust this newspaper. This is the only signing they may mention. So this was today newspaper. So
I mean, we'll see.
We'll see in January. Okay.
Expect in January one marquee signing, but I don't think it'll be this guy.
All right.
Maybe Coutinho.
طبعا ما يعتقد كريس انه راح يكون موجود، لكن يعني هذا خبر من الرياضية اليوم. جميع اللاعبين اللي تم ذكرهم، هذا اللاعب الوحيد حاليا يعني الذكر اليوم انه قد ينقل لنادي نيوكاسل، خصوصا انه مع المدرب البرتغالي فونيسكا، اللي اصلا لسه يقول لك كريس، يقول انه يمكن لسه يمكن ما تكتمل الامور معاه وما يتعاقدون معه. عموما نروح الخبر الثاني. طبعا I will start with the news for today.
Fonseca, not
Fonseca.
I know you're saying a lot of people are saying it's Fonseca.
Okay, Fonseca. Yeah, this is okay.
Graham Jones.
So this article, it's a nice article from Mr. Ali Mansour from Riyadh newspaper. This was today, so I will read it and I will explain what's being said. This is a newspaper Al Riyadh, and this is Mr. Ali Mansour. Yeah, here. This is Mr. Ali.
Okay.
And this is the article. Okay, it's addressed by Neom and Newcastle.
Mm-hmm.
Neom, the investment sector, north the country. He's saying Neom is the ambitious vision. It will create a future to the new world with all the ambitions and creation to find new solutions and different way of style and living and the progress for a human being by the leader Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, and football sports sector is big from the forward vision for Neom to be the center world for sport in coming future, and it will be involved on the financial, which it was focused on the creation. One of the important sport motive during this time, Neom become a sponsor for different qualifiers in Asia, World Cup qualification, also Champions League of Asia. From the other hand, PIF going along with the Saudi projects, international projects, as like Smart Neom City, especially the investment in sports sector. Also with full complete of Newcastle takeover, which is affect or reflect positively from the worldwide newspapers and a huge reaction from the fans sport in general inside Saudi Arabia and outside. Great relation or increasing relation between Neom and PIF in sports sector for many reasons. One of them is strengthening the partnership and investment, sport marketing, and maybe the idea of change of Newcastle Stadium, which is called St. James Park, to, this is opinion, I believe, this opinion of the writer, to Neom Stadium. Could be it could be improve or the identification of sports sector to host the most important champions around the world, and which will increase the standard as a center or sector for sport and sport technology. A lot of benefits financially, socially will happen for Newcastle City from this takeover. Also, it will introduce the Invest ID for Saudi Arabia with PIF to go into new challenge in the sometimes very hard to translate it to Arabic word. Okay, to the sport market, it's a huge sport market, international, representing in Premier League. Newcastle and the fans, Newcastle Stadium and the fans, it wasn't the first time it's been changed to the St. James Park. It's been said for Direct Arena late in 2011 for 11 months for previous owner Mike Ashley. Newcastle fans, he said, Newcastle fans express and welcoming, thanking for PIF by wearing the Saudi wares like Shimagh and Igal, and there is the Saudi flag with Newcastle flag as well, with do some popular folklore of Saudi dance beside the St. James Park. Ali Mansour, he is specialized in market sport and management for sport management direct. Your comment.
Well, we can talk about the sponsorship later with the with the Craig Hope article, but my comment would be that very clearly there are lucrative, like meaning lots of money opportunities for Newcastle to partner with Saudi interests, and this is one of the main contentions of the Premier League rivals. They don't they want to restrict the way that Newcastle will have access to lots of money for transfers and stuff like that. So, this is why they've currently put in a ban for a month, and they're going to try to do it permanently. The Premier League clubs all met, and they voted to restrict any club from getting sponsored by a business that is related to the ownership, and that was very clearly targeted at Newcastle and our new PIF owners, because PIF is invested in so many different businesses, and there was perception that Neom might be one of the sponsors for the kit next year. So rather than they would end the current Fun 88 and have like Neom or Saudia Airline or something like that on this shirt next year. And the Premier League, the other clubs who are very jealous of Newcastle's new wealth, are trying to restrict Newcastle from doing deals with Saudi companies.
طبعا تكلم كريس عن مشاكل الرعاية بشكل عام اللي راح نتكلم عنها بتفصيل بعد شوية، في مقالة لكريغ هوب راح نتكلم عنها بعد شوية. وهو يشوف إنه نيوم أقرب إنها تكون رعاية للقميص حسب ما فهمت. بس الحين كريس what about the stadium name? Is there is suggestion of Neom Stadium?
Yeah, so one of my articles, I think we'll cover this, but you mentioned the way that Mike Ashley changed the name of St. James Park twice to involve his company, and it was just the way that he did it without any overnight, without any consultation with the fans, and it was also the way that Newcastle the club itself got no monetary benefit from this. Mike Ashley did not pay the club 5, 10, 20 million a season, which would be the going rate to sponsor the stadium. So it was just for his benefit and not for the benefit of the club. Whereas if I think that there's some fans like Holly would say again, in no way do we want to change the name of the stadium at all. It's always going to be St. James Park, and it'll always be St. James Park to Geordie's. But if they do change the name, they said they'll do it in consultation with the fans, and this will be for the benefit of the club, because if all of the money that they generate from changing the name of the stadium, the sponsorship of the stadium, that will go directly into the transfer budget. So if you get a sponsor for 20 or 50 million pounds a year, that's a 20 million pound player you can buy, or 50 million pound player you can buy without getting into this financial fair play. So
Chris, what happened for 11 months, as mentioned? What happened later? It's back to St. James Park, and why?
Because the fans were so upset. Number one, that he changed it overnight without any warning, and number two, again, he did not pay. Mike Ashley did Newcastle United got no money from any of the advertisements, not just changing the name of the stadium. All of the Sports Direct signage that's all around the stadium, Newcastle got zero for that.
But how change? Did they change his mind, or is forced to?
Yeah, because it was bad. It was bad PR for him, and he was already. He'd already tried to sell the club, but he wanted to put the club up for sale again, and yeah, it was just bad. It was just bad news all around for him. So, and there was, even though they put the Sports Direct arena signs up, no one called it that. Everyone still would call it St. James Park, and it'd be the same if it was like Neom Stadium at St. James Park, like the Sky Sports or the BT or the our friends at BN would call it Neom Stadium at St. James Park for the first time that you see it, but then like the rest of the broadcast they would just call it St. James Park.
اوكي طبعا يقول لك كريس يعني ملخص الكلام انه يقول لك لما مايك اشلي غير اسم النادي في عام 2011 لمده 11 شهر، النادي اول شيء ما استفاد من تغيير الاسم مع اي فائده ماديه، اي فائده ماليه، وغير الاسم في يوم وليله بدون ما حتى يستشير الجماهير، واثر هذا الشيء ما عاد بالنفع يعني لمايك اشلي، يعني انضر ذيك الفتره، يمكن واجه ضغوط كبيره فرجع الاسم لسان جيمس بارك. بس الحين كريس، بس هل في يعني هل ممكن الجماهير يغيرون رايهم اذا حسوا انه تغيير الاسم راح يجيب لهم مصادر دخل جديده ولا لا؟ Do you think fans, Chris, will change? This last question regarding this article. Do you think the fans maybe accept changing the name if they believe it will get much more financial benefit from it?
Yes.
In general.
Yes. If you saw the poll that I think Steve Wraith did on his Twitter yesterday, the majority will say yes, we're in favor of a sponsorship as long as it's done the right way and not just put up overnight. And of course there has to be a benefit to the budget. You know, the PIF will pay, or the whoever the sponsor is will pay 20 million. You know, it can't be 100 million because it has to be fair market value. I mean, you can't just say, oh, well, the Saudis will pay 500 million a year for the sponsorship, and they'll get 500 million to go buy Messi and Mbappe. They have to the value of the deal has to be fair market value. So it probably would be around 50 million, 20 million, 50 million, based on what other like what the Emirates pays for the to sponsor Arsenal's stadium, or the Etihad, you know, what they pay to sponsor Man City's stadium.
طبعا كريس يقول انه يعني رأي الجماهير يعني بشكل عام، ذكر حتى منهم الإعلامي ستيف ريث أنه أمس كتب في تغريدة أنه غالبية الجماهير ما تمانع هذا الشيء طالما أنه يتم التغيير بطريقة يعني فيها استشارة، يعني بخطوات مناسبة ومرتبة، أنه يتم فيها استشارة الجماهير، يمكن معرفة تفاصيل أكثر من النواحي المادية علشان يكون مثلا.
It wasn't Steve Wraith. It was it was Neil Mitchell. دكتور
نيل ميتشل يقصد، ما كان اللي يقصد إعلام ستيف ريث، يصحح معلومة، يقصد أنه أحد المغردين دكتور نيل ميتشل كان تكلم أنه ما في ممانع من أغلب الجماهير، يعني الرأي العام الجماهيري بشكل عام، قد يكون في معارضين لكن بشكل عام أنه ما في مانع طالما يمشي الموضوع بطريقة عكس اللي سواها مايك أشلي، بطريقة منظمة ومرتبة فيها استشارة الجماهير، يمكن توضيح أكثر من ناحية القيمة المادية. يعني ملخص اللي قاله كريس أنه النواحي المادية بصير معروف بالضبط إيش المبلغ اللي مثلا يمكن يستفيد النادي من هذا التغيير الكبير. Okay, what you have for us, Chris? Now let's move to article from where?
Yes, I don't know what the orders you're going to do it in.
No, choose whatever you like.
Okay, let's since we missed Craig Hope last week, let's do the Craig Hope article.
Okay, Craig Hope from Daily Mail. This is the طبعا الحين راح يتكلم لنا عن ملخص عن مقالة كريغ هوب. Okay.
Yes. So as I was, this is a good lead-in, because as I was saying before, that with the new ownership comes new sponsorship opportunities, and PIF, the Rubens and Amanda Stavely, they want to start generating as much money as possible so that Newcastle can start to rebuild and build its club. And the first thing they could do is change the name of the stadium. But as the headline says, only if the supporters consent. So the new owners are all about communication. So they want to communicate this openly with the fans and not be like Mike Ashley and not tell anyone and change the name overnight. That's what he did. So the owners want to be more open and transparent. And to explain, this is not just because we want to take away tradition of St. James Park, but it's we want to maximize the money that can go into transforming this club. So that would the first easiest way to do that, because we can't change they can't change the shirt sponsor until next season. They'll have a new shirt sponsor next season, like Saudi Airline or something, or Neom. But if Neom or somebody involved with that wants to pay 50 million pounds a year to say Neom Stadium at St. James Park, that should be. There's no reason why, and saying like these new rules that the rest of the league are trying to put on. If you can have Etihad Stadium in Manchester City, you should be able to have Neom Stadium or Saudi Airline Stadium in Newcastle.
طبعا هذه مقالة كريغ هوب من الصحفيين الموثوقين بشكل كبير، يعني بشكل عام في نيوكاسل. تتكلم طبعا هذه مقالة تتكلم عن الملكة الجدد ورؤيتهم، خصوصا مع تغيير اسم الملعب. يقول لك انه اسم الملعب ما راح يتغير طبعا الا بموافقة الجماهير. هذا كلام الملاك الجدد. في شرح فيه كيفية التواصل على الجماهير، انه هذا شيء مهم في تغيير الملعب. الشفافية طبعا المطلوبة. المشكلة الآن القائمة الآن بعد طبعا كمان مذكورة هنا بالتفاصيل، يعني مش مذكورة ال 18 نادي اللي اعترض على رعاية. هذه ما راح نتكلم عنها لاحقا، لكن الحين نتكلم انه من وين نيوكاسل راح يجيب مصادر دخل حاليا، خصوصا مع المشاكل الرعاية الجديدة اللي استحدثت الآن. وتكلمنا معها أمس مع الخبير الاقتصادي كيري ماغواير، اللي يبغى يرجع يشوف تفاصيل أكثر عن هذا الموضوع. يعني تغيير التيشيرت، الراعي التيشيرت الحالي ما راح يصير إلا السنة القادمة، فعشان يصير في مصادر دخل سريعة للنادي، تغيير اسم الملعب هو يمكن حاليا المتاح في اليد. Great article.
Good.
So now this from Craig Hobb. Now let's move to back to Saudi article. يعني there is some we didn't have exclusive, maybe except the player news I said earlier, but this is article from great or famous writers in Saudi Arabia. This one very important, from very experienced man. His call is Dr. Amin Saati. Dr. Amin Saati from Al-Iqtisadiyya newspaper. I will try. It's a very long article. I will try to summarize it and see what it's talk about. This is Amin Saati, Dr. Amin Saati. He was talking about Newcastle deal and Saudi investment profit. Talking also about that after Corona, he started to read the story from maybe the beginning. Talking about COVID-19 era, 2020, PIF make a lot of succeed investment in the world, in many great important sectors, and he talking also about the analysis of the financial worldwide. They really give the credit to PIF performance, because the succeed and the profit being made during this time. And he talking about a few days before the takeover succeed finally. Newcastle, one of the important or have a huge history in English football. The club have bad or any back steps lately, but hopefully now. But Newcastle needs to push to strong push to get back to the track of competition in big competitions. Talking also about how it's stay for a long time, but now it's done 100%. Talking also about how Newcastle and how we are happy that we saw Newcastle fans wearing Saudi wear. This video, and it's really get very famous in Saudi Arabia. Okay, also talking about he's thanking Newcastle fans for loyalty for this club and for this deal, and hopefully we'll get back to the champions, and we looking for huge names great signing in coming future,
inshallah.
Inshallah. Okay. Talking now about Newcastle in standing table, but hopefully okay. And he also talking about the super games that hosted in Saudi Arabia as well. He talking about sport new achievement in general within Newcastle deal. That was the article from a great writer, Dr. Amin Saati from Al-Iqtisadiyya newspaper. Okay. Your turn.
Yes. Okay, should we let's see what the other ones we've got. Should we go with George and Chris?
Okay. George Culkin and Chris Wolf from The Athletic.
Yes.
This is, I believe, the article. What with it?
Yeah.
Sum it up for us, Chris.
It's basically saying that Newcastle is his next manager has to wear several hats. We say he has to drag us out of the relegation fight, but then have ambition for the future. So there's not a lot of managers that have both besides Rafa. Rafa Benitez was the one that was being targeted by the ownership because he knows how to bring a club out of relegation battle, and he can fight for trophies. Whereas the thinking is now is that do they go for a big name like Conte or something like that, who probably isn't interested in coming to a Newcastle that's 19th place and doesn't have the international superstar players that he's used to coaching. Conte would be more of like a second or third coach manager. Do you have somebody like Eddie Howe, who has had teams with in relegation fights, and of course was with Bournemouth when they were relegated last. So the question is, do you need somebody? And actually, just to add some news I saw today, there's the idea that within the ownership group, they have different ideas of who should be the next manager. And for example, I think it said that Jamie Rubin was favoring an English manager like Lampard. But I think Lampard has ruled himself, according to some reports, has ruled himself out of the Newcastle job. And Fonseca is favored by some of the by maybe Stavely and some of the other members of the consortium. but we don't know until he takes charge how Fonseca will do in the Premier League. He doesn't have. It's a question of do we have to have a manager with Premier League experience, because they will have the experience in what's probably the toughest league in the world of getting the club out of relegation, because we're not going to be charging. We can't go for a Champions League if we're in the Championship next season. So we want a manager that's going to keep us safe this year. I mean, that's the main. If we finish 17th, that's fine for this year, because it keeps us up, and we can go for top 10 next season. But we need somebody that's going to come in and immediately. I mean, I think anyone who comes in is going to inject some excitement and energy into the players, and they'll play well for the new manager. But we need somebody to come in and get a couple wins right off the bat and drag us out of the relegation zone into mid-table.
Chris, Gerard been mentioned in the article or not?
Yeah, they don't. I mean, despite it being all like those guys pictured at the top, Favre and Graham Jones and Conte and Fonseca and Rafa, they don't really go into who. They're not saying who Newcastle should pick. They're just pointing out that when they say they're looking for several, it means that the next manager has to get them out of relegation battle and has to set them up for a future where they can invest in the club. And it may not be the same manager may not be here for 5 seasons to be going from relegation battle to Champions League contender or title contender. Let us dream. But it actually, tying back to your last article for Vision 2030, it's very clear that PIF wanted to buy Newcastle as part of the Vision 2030, because and 2030 can kind of be a good target for when Newcastle is, among the new top 4, big 6, big 7, or Newcastle, the Al Kabir, and the rest of them are smaller. Yeah. So hopefully Newcastle is still owned by PIF in 2030. And some people are saying that 2030 will be like a realistic year for Newcastle to win its first title. And that's, that's 9 seasons away. Hopefully it's sooner than that. But I just want to also correct that a lot of people are saying that Amanda Staveley is promising Premier League and Champions League titles within 5-10 years. This is the thing that journalists do is they'll say where do you see Newcastle in 5 to 10 years? So it's the journalist that's giving her the 5 to 10 year window, and that she's not saying, it didn't come up on top of her head, okay, yes, Newcastle will win the Premier League and the Champions League in 5-10 years. It's the journalist was asking her, where do you see yourself? Where do you see Newcastle in 5, or where do you want Newcastle to be? Which is a completely different way of saying, I'm guaranteeing that Newcastle will win the Premier League and Champions League in 5-10 years.
Of course, but last question I will ask you before I translate regarding this article.
Yes.
Does it mention by the writers that there's a specific name they are looking for or they support, or they're just talking about the issue of the signing a manager?
No, as I'm saying, like, just from the headline, you can tell they said they're looking for several managers, which means that, like I said, besides Rafa Benitez, they say the perfect manager would have been Rafa. So yes, besides Rafa, they do mention those other guys, but they don't say that this guy can do it, because only Rafa Benitez of that list has experience in a relegation battle.
Okay.
Of course, he came in too late the first season and was relegated, but he kept Newcastle in mid-table despite losing the first 10 games of the season. So he's had a worse start before than Steve Bruce did to get fired. But he, you always knew that Rafa Benitez's teams would have would finish strong, even if they didn't start strong. But we don't know. I mean, that's what they're saying. None of the other guys besides Lampard has Premier League experience, so we don't know how they would handle coming into a team that's 19th, and you can't change the squad until January transfer window. There's a lot of games to play between now and January, very tough matches that Newcastle has to win because if they're still in the bottom 3 in January, it's going to be very tough. If you look at the January fixtures, it's going to be very tough to pull us out of the bottom 3 if we're still there in January.
طبعا هذا المقال الكاتبين كريس وولف وجورج والكن من الصحفيين الموثوقين في نيوكاسل. يعني زي ما هو واضح في الصورة يتكلمون عن تغيير المدربين. مشكلة نيوكاسل الآن يحتاج نوعين من المدربين، أو مدرب متعدد المواهب. يعني يبغون مدرب ينقذ من الهبوط، ومدرب يحقق وعنده نظرة مستقبلية ويحقق البطولات. هذه الصفات كانت للأسف فقط متوفرة في رافا بينيتيز، طبعا اللي هو الآن حاليا مرتبط مع نيوكاسل. يعني كان في واضح كان في اعتماد كبير، أو الخطة كانت من جد، يعني كانت الخطة رافا بينيتيز، لكن لما ما صار متاح بسبب تعاقد وتأخر الصفقة بعض الأشهر، فالخيار الثاني يعني سبب حيرة إنه مين ممكن نختار كمدرب. هذه صعوبة الموضوع الآن. صعب إنه نجد واحد زي رافع عنده القدرة إنه ينقذ الفرق زي ما صار مع نيوكاسل سابقا، ويكون عنده نظرة للمستقبل. وتبغى برضو أيضا تكلموا إنه نحتاج برضو مدرب عنده خبرة في الدوري الإنجليزي، وهذا الشيء مش موجود في فونسيكا. لامبرت حسب الإشاعات اللي تم ذكرها إنه انسحب من الموضوع، لكن ما نعرف ليش. هذا طبعا مجرد كلام. لامبرت جزئية لامبرت هذا كلام يقال، ما هو حقيقة يعني، لكن إنه يعني سحب نفسه من الفوضات، أو إنه يعني ما ندري مين اللي سحب يعني، ومين اللي يعني خلاص غير رأيه في صفقة أو في تعاقد مع لامبرت. هل هو اللاعب نفسه أم هو إدارة نيوكاسل؟ لا نعلم ذلك. كان طبعا هذا كانت مقالة صحيفة الأتلتيك زي ما ذكرنا قبل شوي. Okay, now we'll move to we have here, this one finish. I'm just like to mention it. There is no important news. We're just talking about this is from Al Bilad. It's mean the countries newspaper by Badr Al Nahdi. This article was recent, last few days. He been there. He went there in the game, and he have some photo and the celebration of the fans with the Saudi wear. As you can see, he went like by himself to take this amazing photo and make an article in this newspaper talking about Newcastle facility and the at St James Park. Okay. Also, before I go to Chris, we have one more with Chris, one more article. So let me finish the Saudi one. Actually, this is not from Saudi. This is from Emirate. Al Ain city in Emirate, talking about decision. The address of the title of the article: a decision 10 years late, a magical solution for from Newcastle stadium crisis. This is the article talking about that management of Newcastle try to maybe this is translated of Craig Hope, I don't know, let's see. It's talking about Newcastle now looking for a possible solution to improve financial matter of the club, to come with the fair play rules. Now the Newcastle club now being owned by BIF and BIF consortium, Saudi consortium, hoping to reach and go with Newcastle to the club, to the champions. Talking about Daily Mail. Yeah, from the Daily Mail.
Yes.
This is yeah. Also, so this is the point. And I want Newcastle to know what's being written in our Middle East and Saudi newspaper. So yeah. Okay. The crisis is sometimes focused on Magpies fans. Maybe opposite have objection for this suggestion. When Mike Ashley do it before 10 years ago, because this name, it was for more than 129 years. Also, he add the new owner want to also increase the financial for club safe by legal ways to avoid rule fair play, to avoid any punishment from UEFA. Okay, and regarding the sponsorship deal in Premier League temporarily, I'm not really sure what he mean. Maybe he's some confusing. Yeah, he also talking about they're talking about the issue of the Premier League, that they want to make it permanent when they just change the rules, which is very stupid.
Yes.
Right after the takeover. That means they didn't see the takeover coming. So this is funny.
Yes.
Talking about the 18 club in urgent meeting. Yeah, you know the news. This is just translated of it.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's okay. They're saying management thinking of avoiding. They didn't want to make the fans angry, so maybe they will keep the name of the St. James Park, but with adding, as you said, Neom St. James Park, as you said,
Neom Stadium. They can say
yes,
something stadium at St. James Park.
Yes, maybe this is best solution. This is the magical solution they are talking about. Also, reports saying airlines maybe have the rights of the Newcastle club stadium. Same what happened with Manchester City previously.
Yeah,
that was last article with us from Middle East. So I try not to bring to only Saudi. I also bring this one from Emirates.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go to Chris with who we have now. Chris, last article.
We have Kieran Kelly.
Kieran Kelly
from the Chronicle.
Kieran Kelly from the Chronicle. This is Kieran, and this is the article. Go on.
I was actually going to be sneaky, Owleed, and not say the name and ask you to pronounce the name, because we're talking about Graham Jones, not Grammy. And it's
no, خلاص. Now every time I get mistake, I said, "Oh, Christopher says Graham Jones." And then, yesterday with Warren Barton, I said Graham Jones.
Yes.
Your sound in my head, Graham Jones.
Yes, and also this name. Well, I mean, I guess your experience with having Kieran on the Match Day Live. So
you thought I would say Siren?
Siren, yeah.
No, it's Kieran. It's because there is I there.
Yes,
so it's clear.
So
all right. What was this?
Is about, it's interesting. People are reading maybe too much into the title, because they said that Graham Jones is not the caretaker; he's the interim, and interim could last the rest of the season, or if he does well, they might say, well, we don't need a new manager. We've got Graham Jones; he's doing very well. But this is just going into the backstory of Graham Jones, who is from Newcastle area. He grew up as a boy going to St. James Park.
But sorry, Chris, this is the article title is different a little bit. That's what you mean?
Yes, but no, I'm just saying that I'm giving you the summary of the article.
Okay.
Yes, I mean this is Graham Jones, who's who's from Newcastle, and so he grew up going to Newcastle games and everything like that. And it's sort of a market change. We won't mention the previous manager since he's gone, but the question was always, well, if that manager is from Newcastle, was he really a Newcastle fan? Whereas in the interview with on Newcastle's YouTube channel, Graham Jones is told that there'll be 2,800 fans that will be traveling to Crystal Palace. And he says, no, make that 2,801 because I'm also a Newcastle fan. And that's not something you ever heard from the previous manager. He would always say they when he refers to the fans and not we. Whereas you feel that Graham Jones is we the Newcastle supporters. He includes himself in there. So people will say that maybe he doesn't have the experience. He's only been a manager once with Luton Town, and he didn't do very well, and he left the club. He was appointed manager of a newly promoted to the championship side, Luton Town. Luton, for my Saudi friends, is you may when you fly into the US, into the UK, to London, there's other airports besides Heathrow. And Luton is the airport in the north of London. So he was Graham Jones was manager of Luton Town for less than one season and didn't do very well. So people will say he's more of a coach than a head coach or a manager. But this is his opportunity to manage his boyhood club, the club that he supported all of his life, as opposed to the previous manager who was a fan of more of a fan of Manchester United. But anyways, so this is Graham Jones' opportunity. You could say that he's waited his whole life to do this, and he's also very respectful of the previous manager and saying that he had a good relationship with the previous manager, who I won't name, and that he's kind of carrying on from the previous manager. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm very interested to see, and everyone's interested to see who Graham Jones will put in the first 11 tomorrow. Today, Saturday. 3:00 game. We'll see who he puts in this starting lineup. Especially we're curious to see whether he will actually play Jamal Lewis, our really only left back that we have, a natural left back. Will Graham Jones play Jamal Lewis at left back in place of Matt Ritchie, who is not a left back? And will he actually give Dwight Gale time up front to pair with Callum Wilson, or will he continue the previous manager's bizarre way of handling Dwight Gale? And will he actually take out Kieran Clark, another Clark, and will he play who is it?
Lascelles or
no?
Fernandez.
No. Yeah, well,
Crafter.
Fernandez and the Swiss guy, Cher, Fabian Cher, because some people will say that Cher and Fernandez would be our best two center backs, and we're not really playing either of them. So let's see whether it's more of the same, because some people will say, well, it wasn't just Steve Bruce doing the tactics; it was Graham Jones. But Graham Jones favors this this lineup of 4-3-2-1, I think. so he'll probably play a striker alongside Callum Wilson.
Sorry, I get a call. That's it.
No problem. He'll probably play another striker up front with Callum Wilson, and then have like someone like Almiron like right behind them, and then play four at the back, and so we'll see. We'll see whether this is going to be a completely different lineup than Steve Bruce. Oh, I said his name. The previous manager. Whether it's completely different or the same, very similar lineup to the way that the previous manager would set up this club.
Does it mention if Graeme Jones got good result, maybe continue to the end of the season, or at least transfer market, not just the 2 games? Does it mention something about this?
Not specifically, but people are sort of reading into this title of interim rather than caretaker, that he might have more of an opportunity, but he's told that he has 2 games. So the expectation is that Newcastle will have a new manager after the Chelsea game, but we'll see whether that happens or not.
I read, but I'm not sure from where, from Twitter, but I forget where. But it's been like Graeme Jones been told by Amanda he will have more roles or in the future with the club, something like that. And I'm wondering, let's say if bring Fonseca or any coach, how you can tell the new manager Graeme Jones will be with you, or you have to be with you. This is
that's
confusing.
That's very difficult. I think any new manager is going to want to have his own team in there, and unless you bring in Roberto Martinez, who is the current coach of Belgium, who Graeme Jones has worked with for 10 years. So Graeme Jones worked with Martinez at Belgium, at Wigan, and other places. So unless you bring in Roberto Martinez as manager.
But Chris, and even if that happened, I'm sure Graeme Jones want to improve, not just staying behind Martinez.
Yes, I mean some guys are just saying I'm maybe he realized after his bad experience with Luton that he's not a number 1, he's a number 2, and that he's best suited to be the top assistant to people like Roberto Martinez or Gareth Southgate, because of course the one time when Jones didn't work with Martinez at the Euros, he was with Gareth Southgate as I guess England's number 3 coach, because maybe he wasn't the top assistant, but he was brought in because another assistant I think it was injured or couldn't make the squad for whatever reason. So Graeme Jones was added to Gareth Southgate's squad coaching staff for the summer's Euros that were delayed as one year.
Could be Graeme Jones maybe go to under 23rd, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's very clearly like a first team coach. This might not be a manager, but who knows? Maybe he comes in and he stays and we win 10 in a row.
اوكي طبعا هذه مقاله من كيران كيلي من الكرونيكل لايف. طبعا تحدثوا بشكل كبير عن جريم جونز المدرب الحين اللي راح يدرب نيوكاسل في كريستال بالاس وتشيلسي. تاكدت الاخبار انه هو اللي بيكون المدرب المسؤول عن هذه المباراتين. طبعا تكلم انه المدرب جريم جونز من نيوكاسل اصلا، يعني هم من مدينه نيوكاسل ومشجع نيوكاسل منذ الصغر. طبعا عكس ستيف بروس. دائما ستيف بروس يعني كانوا يتكلمون عنه انه ما عنده انتماء لنيوكاسل في لما يتحدث عن الجماهير. ذكروا في المؤتمر أمس، مؤتمر جريمي جونز، قال جرام جونز اوكي، ذكر جرام جونز انه سالوه قالوا له انه 2800 مشجع رايحين الى كريستال بالاس لندن عشان الجماهير، يعني هذا كان السؤال. فجاوب قال لا، 2801، يقصد انه انا معهم، انه كان يشجع نيوكاسل ذيك الفتره. تكلم ايضا كيران عن الخبره اللي يعني انه برضو حاول يكون منطقي، انه الخبره لدى جرام جونز ليست الخبره المطلوبه. كان مدرب لوتون، ما ادى بشكل جيد، خصوصا لما صعد من الدرجه الثانيه الى الدرجه الاولى في الشامبيونشيب، ما ادى بشكل ممتاز. الان تعتبر فرصه كبيره له الان انه يكون يمسك فريق تدريبي او فريق اول في الدوري الانجليزي، حتى لو كانت مباراتين. وتكلم يعني برضه في المقاله فتره طويله عن، او يعني جزء كبير من المقاله انه متحمس يبغى يشوف ال11 لاعب في الملعب اللي راح يختارهم جرام جونز. مين راح يكون؟ هل مثلا ممكن تشهد عوده لويس، جمال لويس ظهير الايسر اللي اختفى فتره طويله؟ طبعا هو ظهير الايسر الوحيد، صار له سنه ستيفو بروس يخلي ماتريتش ظهير ايسر. هل في تغييرات؟ نبغى نشوف نقاط الاختلاف بينه وبين بروس. دوايت جيل هل ممكن يلعب مع ويلسون او لا؟ يعني دوايت جيل هل يعني سيستمر يشارك 5 دقائق فقط يعني لتكميل 11 تكمله عدد، ولا راح يكون له دور فعلي في خط الهجوم مع ويلسون؟ هل كلارك ممكن يشارك مكان مع شار؟ يعني في كثير من الاراء انه يشوفون كلارك وشار قلوب دفاع اساسيين افضل مثلا من جمال لسيلز فرنانديز. يعني باختصار ال11 لاعب. بعدين انا سالت كريس، سالته وقلت طيب بالنسبه لجرام جونز، يعني سمعنا اخبار انه راح يجلس فتره طويله، يعني او وعد من اماندا، هذه اخبار تنقال في تويتر، انه راح يجلس فتره طويله في نيوكاسل، يعني او فيوتشر، يعني راح يكون مستقبله مع النادي. سالته انه كيف طيب يجبر، يعني صعب تجيب مدرب كبير وتجبره مثلا على جرام جونز يكون هو مساعد معك. فهذه نقطه صعبه، يعني صعب، يعني كريس قال انه صعب انه نحدد هذا الشيء، لكن ممكن يكون مدرب مثلا، اقترحنا انه ممكن يكون مدرب 23 سنه يتم الاستعانه به مثلا في وقت معين. يعني قد يعني ممكن يطلب من المدرب انه يكون موجود في طاقم التدريبي، يعني كل شيء ممكن. هذا تقريبا كان اهم ما ذكره كيران كيلي في هذه المقاله. That was translation for all what you said, Chris. Okay, so this is great. So maybe we finished 7 articles in such a great time. Maybe we have a few minutes to talk about some of the comments and the game today. What do you think, Chris?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay, good morning, Tone Man. Okay, Abdullah saying, yeah, they want to kill, yeah, we say this as well. They want to just annoying us, but they will not succeed because the laws will speak at the end. Okay, we have a lot of companies in Saudi Arabia that not owned by BIF. They're willing to pay millions to invest in Newcastle share, or Newcastle in general, which is true.
Yeah.
Totally true. This is what we are looking for. Dave Harrison, our friend, good morning, وليد and Chris. At the start of a beautiful day and a fantastic relationship between NFC and Saudi. Hopefully, Dave, and you know, I remember last week, same day with Christopher, we were happy at the beginning of the day, but sad after the result. Hopefully now we are so happy, positive energy, positive vibes, but hope at the end of the day continue. Hope this will last.
Yes.
Okay. Morning, Tom, and morning.
I'm going to try to go to the game.
Sorry?
I don't have a ticket yet, but I'm going to try to go and see if I can get a ticket to the game.
To London?
You know, I'm in London, so I'm just going to go.
I forgot you are in London. Yeah, I forgot. No, so it will be.
I'm not in Chicago, and that was just last week.
Okay. Actually, a lot of people love the train interview.
Yes. A lot quieter today.
Yeah. 2000. So hopefully 2,802.
Yes.
Today with you.
Yes.
So, what's your expectation for the game? Let's continue article of the Kieran Kelly. What do you think? What do you expect to see? What do you expect to see about the game? I saw this earlier, but I think I deleted. I deleted. What do you think the lineup would be?
I like what did you see the comment from Brian Johnson? I like that comment. Yes. Bring back Dubravka, Cher, Manquillo, Fernandez, Lewis, yes, Fraser, Willock, ASM Wilson. That's a great lineup. Except the only issue there is that Graham Jones doesn't play 4-4-2. He plays 4-3-1-2. I think that
4-3-1-2.
Yes.
How you know this?
It's in the article. No, I mean it's in. There's an. I didn't want to put two articles by George and Chris up, but there's another article. If you're for all my athletics subscriber friends, there's another great article by George and Chris where they actually update. They did an article about Graham Jones like last summer, and they said what does Graham Jones bring to the club, and then this week they've updated it, and they do talk about how Graham Jones favors this 4-3-1-2. So I don't know, because it's a question of people are sort of saying like, will we actually play like Miggy Almiron in his natural position? Because he doesn't, the way that Steve Bruce, oh god, I said his name again, the former guy who shall not be named, the way that he played him was never in Almiron's natural position. So all you ever really saw Almiron do is run, because he didn't really have another role besides running. So we'll see whether how does he play him. The key for me is, will he play Jamal Lewis? Because what is the reason Jamal Lewis is healthy? He's not injured. What is the reason why the former guy never played?
But Chris, long time he didn't play.
Yeah, but I mean,
how you can put him today?
He's playing. He played okay for Northern Ireland, except I saw a clip on the internet that in his last game he got a yellow card. No, he got a red card for wasting time on the throw-in. so hopefully, other than that, I don't know how he performed with the club, but yeah, I mean, he's a young guy. Hopefully, Graham Jones can help develop him, but you know, we should be completely changing our back four to include Cher and Fernandez as our center backs, and hopefully Jamal Lewis as our left back, and on the right, on the right, I would put Manquillo in there, and then I mean, I pretty much agree with Brian Johnson's lineup there, except that he's not playing 4-4-2. He's playing 4-3-1-2. Yeah.
Regarding expectation for the game, say, just
my expectation for the game. You know, obviously, it'd be great to go out there and get a Stu Penman 3-1 win. So let's. Well, my heart says Stu Penman 3-1 win. Maybe my head says like a Desmond Tutu 2-2 draw will be more in order, and maybe, I mean, Newcastle's got to start putting some wins on the board. So let's hope for the win today, but I don't know. Certainly, it's going to only get more difficult. Like Chelsea and other teams, they're not.
Yeah. From the press conference, Graham Jones say something about the players will be given the tactics, and everyone will know what he will do. He was like talking about the former guy.
Yes, we want
that he will do different than him.
Yes,
it's like he's saying the former guy, no tactics. The player doesn't know what they do.
Yes, exactly. Like, what did he do besides puff his cheeks out?
Okay.
That's
so
all
so it's like sending a hidden message to him.
Walk with his hands in his pockets. Stroll around the sideline. Whereas Graham, remember, we all saw this. Graham Jones was the one that would put the arm around the shoulder and give the guys instructions. Or we don't know what the former guy actually ever did.
Yeah, but so this is why I'm very looking for the game, because actually last game against Tottenham, it was excited at a few minutes, but it was Brucey or former guy style play. Same, nothing changed. But
yeah,
definitely today,
no tactics. That's why he had. The other thing I don't believe is that they're saying that the former guy, it was his idea to bring in Graham Jones. I don't believe that anyone brings in their replacement. So
it was the plan B. It was the plan B if sacked Bruce anyhow.
Yes, anyway. I thought that was sort
of
Mike Ashley's plan to bring in Graham Jones to kind of force Steve Bruce out, so he didn't have to pay him.
Let's say if there was no Graham Jones, okay, and Bruce gets sacked, so we'll be bringing Fonseca quickly. For example, we didn't have a interval between or someone for emergency.
Yes.
So it's good that we have emergency plan actually, and this is what's the reason for not just helping. They can't say that we bring Graham Jones for emergency. They will bring him just for helping former guy.
Yes,
so that's what I've been saying.
If you remember when Rafa came in, people were calling for Steve McLaren to get fired, and they didn't get rid of Steve McLaren until they had Rafa Benitez signed, sealed, and delivered. And one of the things that Rafa insisted on was that he was to be the manager, so have the final say in all of the personnel and not just the head coach, because Steve, the former guy, was the head coach, whereas Rafa was the manager, and the idea was that the former guy did not have did not deal with transfers. He was told, okay, you're going to get Joe Linton, or you're going to get St. Maximin, and you have no choice in this matter. So I thought it was a little strange that did you think it was a little strange the way that St. Maximin was heaping praise on Steve Bruce? And I think maybe that was in saying that Steve Bruce brought him in, which I don't think Steve Bruce, the former guy, had nothing to do with the acquisition of St. Maximin. It was just somebody that was on Newcastle's radar that was not wanted by Rafa. Rafa Benitez turned down the opportunity to bring in St. Maximin, but so as soon as Rafa was gone, Mike Ashley brought in Joe Linton and St. Maximin for $60 million, I think, total.
Yeah, and because maybe because St. Maximin, he's always play first, priority for the club, priority for Steve Bruce lineup, and he got improved the terms, conditional terms of the contract, and recontracted better. So I believe that's why they have good relation with him, and maybe he's the only one he thank Steve Bruce.
Yes, nobody else. Nobody
else. So yeah, that's that's my explanation.
Looking at Joe Willock's Instagram or something.
Actually, Joe Linton, he should thank.
Yeah, no. Is he gonna dye his hair gray? Is he gonna dye his hair gray now? The top of his hair to as a tribute to the former guy. Since
Yeah, this is really what should happen. He should thank Joe Linton, because if I am Joe Linton, I will say thank you, Steve Bruce, for believe in me, which I'm
playing me every single game. Yes, that's the thing. Is I hope that that Graham Jones does not play Joe Linton, because then if he doesn't play Joe Linton, then we know that it's not in his contract to have to play every game.
All right. Last question, last topic, Christopher. Yes. Now you are in London, so how's Crystal Palace from London? How's the fans from that side? Regarding Patrick Vieira, the atmosphere in London regarding Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
what they are talking. I'm sure that you hear something about the game from their point of view.
Well, of course, Patrick Vieira used to coach. Alan St. Maximin was the guy that sold sold ASM to Newcastle. So you would say that ASM has something to prove today against Crystal Palace, against his former manager, to sort of say you shouldn't have sold me, and look how good I am for Newcastle now, and you didn't believe in me enough, and I had a manager in the former guy and now Graham Jones that believes in me and is willing to build a club around him. Because I mean, look at this. I mean, he was sold as a troublemaker from Nice, and now he's the first guy we mentioned when we say who will Amanda Staveley keep from this current squad next season. You say, well, it's ASM, Callum Wilson, and maybe Dubravka, and the rest of the guys can go. So yeah, so we'll see. I mean, Crystal Palace is not really mentioned too often in London, because in London we've got Chelsea and Tottenham and Arsenal, and yeah, West Ham. But yeah, so Crystal Palace is kind of always the one that's kind of, oh yeah, they're in London too, but they're in the borough of Croydon, which is sort of people who live in London will sort of say, yeah, well, that's maybe within Greater London, but it's not as London as Chelsea or Tottenham or Arsenal. So yeah, not a lot of fans of Crystal Palace around here.
It's a really interesting game tonight. We want to know what will happen with Graham Jones.
What's your prediction? We should end with predictions. I'm going to say it's going to be
draw.
2-2 draw.
Yeah, draw. I'm going with the draw.
Yeah,
I'm going with the draw. Yeah.
Okay.
A draw.
So hopefully they'll prove us wrong, and Graham.
There is always effect after after changing hated manager. Usually the players, they have much more power.
Yes.
They have they want to prove that we are not the reason. It was the former guy.
Yes. So who do you think will be there? Will Amanda and Merdad be?
Yeah, of course. And it's important. Not just they will attend first game. I think they're so passionate. They will attend for sure.
And they live in London anyway, so it's easy for them to come. Hopefully I see them on the way. They can give me a ride.
كان معنا كريستوفر من لندن، مقر مباراة اليوم مع نيوكاسل مع كريستال بالاس. تكلمنا عن أهم الأخبار واللي من السعودية ومن نيوكاسل وبريطانيا بشكل عام، من الصحف، من الأخبار الموثوقة والصحفيين الموثوقين. نراكم إن شاء الله الأسبوع القادم في مع كريستوفر إن شاء الله. See you with Christopher hopefully إن شاء الله next week. Good luck. How are the lads?
Ma salama. Okay.